broadcasting 25 years of accurate, fearless, straightforward news, where service is our passion. You are watching Peace Philosophy and Psychosocial Foundation of Education, the #1 and the most trusted news station in Metro Cebu, reporting live here at CTU Main Campus. And this is
Decisive Talk of the Hour News. Good day, Metro Cebu.
This is Rizzy Celine.
And I'm Teresa Lienda. Today is July 3, 2021. And welcome to another edition of Decisive. Today's topmost objectives. Number 1, organized idea from philosophy that may develop insights in education. Number 2, identify the different philosophical views. Number 3, develop thinking capacities leading to philosophical theories. And number 4, reflect the different philosophical thoughts and famous philosophers.
In for the details. Definition and understanding of philosophy. Explain the importance of philosophy of the teacher. Reflect the different philosophical thoughts of famous philosophers. Cite the different educational theories. Stress out thought that is applicable to real-life situations. And now for the news.
What is philosophy? It comes from two Greek words, philia, which means love, and sophia, which means wisdom. Thus, etymologically speaking, philosophy means love of wisdom. And for all we know, love in this context is understood as a strong desire for a particular object, while wisdom is the correct application of knowledge. Thus, philosophy as a love of wisdom with this context is a person's strong desire of a human person to possess knowledge and apply it correctly. Sir Celine, why do you think we need to understand philosophy as a teacher?
Yes, of course, we need to understand that philosophy is referred to any body of knowledge. In this sense, philosophy is closely related to religion, mathematics, natural resources, politics, and of course, education. Teachers are mentors and play an active role in inculcating independent thinking in students. However, to do that, as a teacher, you must have a teaching philosophy of your own. Students always look up to their teacher, and therefore, it becomes necessary for a teacher to have thoughts to inspire them. Here are the reasons why we need to know philosophy. 1, it helps to identify the path of learning. 2, it affects the society. 3rd, learn to be in their shoes. 4th, to avoid being judgmental. 5th, to teach the concept of unification. Time check, it's 15 minutes past 8 in the morning. This time check is brought to you by Cooks to Go. Deliciously done, even without sauce.
We are very proud to introduce one of our guest speakers for this hour, for us to be more educated with the great philosophers around the world. Please help me welcome Ma'am Kanoman and Sir Seren.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of my ever dynamic and dedicated colleague who is very busy at this moment attending conferences and seminars, may I present to you the great philosophers. First, Confucius. Confucius, also referred to as Conque or Kongfuchu, was a Chinese philosopher, teacher, and political figure largely considered the father of the Eastern style of thought. His teaching focused on creating ethical, social relationships, setting educational standards, and promoting justice and honesty. Second, Socrates. Socrates was a Greek philosopher and is considered the primary source of Western thought because he could neither read nor write. Much of what we know of his life was recorded by his students, Plato and Xenophon. His Socratic method laid the groundwork for Western system of logic and philosophy, delivering a belief that through the act of questioning, the mind can manage to find the truth. Third, Plato. Plato is a Greek philosopher, was a student of Socrates, and later became a teacher of Aristotle. He was a priori, a rational philosopher who sought knowledge logically rather than from the senses. He went on to establish the Academy in Athens, one of the first institutions of higher learning and listening world. Next, Aristotle. Aristotle, considered one of the greatest thinkers in the politics, psychology, and ethics. Aristotle learned from the Plato after enrolling in his academy at age 17. Later, he went on to tutor Alexander the Great. Aristotle focused on a posteriori roads of knowledge, a term popularized by Immanuel Kant, where conclusions are formed based on actual observation and data. Next, Dante. Dante was a medieval Italian poet and a moral philosopher regarded as the father of the modern Italian language. He is best remembered for his poetic trilogy, The Divine Comedy, which comprised of sections that represented three tiers of Christians' afterlife: purgatory, heaven, and hell. The poem features an array of learning, an analysis of contemporary problems, and creativity in language and imagery. Next, Pascal. Pascal Blaise was a French mathematician, physicist, and religious philosopher who laid the fountains for the modern theory of probabilities, a branch of mathematics concerned with the analysis of random phenomena. Next, John Locke. John Locke was the English philosopher and Enlightenment thinker who came to be known as the father of classical liberalism. Throughout his studies, he made valuable contributions to modern theories of limited liberal government. His most notable work, Essay Concerning and Human Understanding, offers analysis of human mind and its acquisition of knowledge. Next, Voltaire is largely considered one of the greatest French Enlightenment, whether he produced thousands of letters, books, pamphlets, essays, plays, among other forms of writing, most of which were centered on religion and politics. One of his most famous works was Candide, a satirical novella that philosophical optimism, proclaiming that all disasters and human suffering is part of the benevolent cosmic plan. Next, Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher whose thinking revolved around metaphysics, philosophical study that examined the fundamental nature of reality. His best-known work, Critique of Pure Reason, determines the limits and scope of metaphysics, combining reasons with experience that moves beyond that of traditional philosophy. Next, Mary Wollstonecraft. Mary Wollstonecraft was an English writer and intellect who advocated for women's equality within society. As an ardent feminist, she believed both men and women should be treated as equal beings with a social mandate. Her best-known publication, Vindication of the Right of Women, is considered the first great feminist treatise. She argued that women deserve the same fundamental right as men should have been education, commensurate with their position in society. Next, Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand is a Russian-American author and philosopher. Ayn Rand rejected collectivist value in favor of individual, self-interest, and ideal evident in first novel, We the Living. She promoted the philosophy of objectivism, which she described as the concept of man as heroic being, with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life. And next, Simone de Beauvoir. Simone de Beauvoir is a French writer, existentialist philosopher, and social theorist who paved the way for the modern feminist movement. She published countless works, both fiction and non-fiction, often having existentialist themes. Her most notable book, The Second Sex, discusses the treatment of women throughout history and the oppression of injury. That's all. This is Marlene Canumon reporting, Precise News.
Thank you, Ma'am Marlene Canumon, for the detailed information. Let's have Ma'am Rebecca Columbus for the next report.
Good morning, everyone. The philosophical ideas related to education. From the famous statements of Confucius, it doesn't matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. From Socrates, let him that would move the world first move himself. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. From Plato, good actions give strength of ourselves and inspire good actions in others. Excellence is not a gift, but a skill that takes practice. From Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Anything that we have to learn to do, we'll learn by the actual doing of it. And from Dante, from little spark may burst the flame. And art, as it is able, follows nature, as a pupil imitates his master. And from Blaise Pascal, we know the truth, not only by the reason, but also by the heart. Man is but a reed, the most feeble thing in nature, but he is a thinking reed. John Locke, no one's knowledge here can go beyond his experience, and the only fence against the world is a thorough knowledge of it. And from Voltaire, let us read and let us dance. These two amusements will never do any harm to the world. The more I read, the more I acquire, the more certain I am that I know nothing. Immanuel Kant, it is beyond a doubt that all of our knowledge begins with experience. And give me matter, and I will construct a world out of it. From Mary Wollstonecraft, the beginning is always today. Men and women must be educated in a great degree by the opinions and manners of the society they live in. And from John Locke, the business of education is not to make the young perfect in any one of the sciences, but so to open and dispose their minds as may best make them capable of any when they shall apply themselves to it. Simone de Beauvoir, one is not born a genius, one becomes a genius. This is Rebecca Colindres reporting decisively.
Thanks, Mare. For this moment, let's pause for a while for some reminders.
Welcome to the Essential Ideas of John Locke. One of the first people to start building the foundations for the free societies we live in today was John Locke. Locke was born in 1632 in Rington, a village in England. His ideas laid the foundation for classical liberalism, which would become increasingly prevalent in Western countries. From 1667 through the early 1680s, Locke acted as a physician and intellectual aide to the Earl of Shaftesbury. Around 1679 to 1680, Locke drafted one of his most influential works, the Two Treatises of Government. Locke's two treatises argued for radical limits on the authority of the state, limiting the function of government to the narrow protection of people's rights to life, liberty, and estate. Locke fled to Holland in 1683 due to his association with Shaftesbury and his counterparts, and their continued opposition to Charles II. While in Holland, he composed A Letter Concerning Toleration, which is one of the great landmark essays in defense of religious toleration. Locke returned to England after the Glorious Revolution of 1688, which installed the more liberal regime of William and Mary. In 1689, the Two Treatises was published. He also published his A Letter Concerning Toleration around this time. Locke remained concerned about persecution, so these works were published anonymously. Locke's insights into the nature of a just government and the nature of freedom established the foundation for a radically different political philosophy. His writings influenced many thinkers and scholars, including Voltaire, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the Scottish Enlightenment thinkers, and the American revolutionaries. Classical liberalism, as it became known, became a revolutionary force in the Western world in the 18th and 19th centuries, and remains influential to this day. For more information on John Locke, visit essentialjohnlocke.org.
For the educational viewers, let's have Ma'am Miralyn Cardillo and Ma'am Julita Cudilan for the details.
Educational theories. Perennialism. From the word itself, perennial, which means timeless. It is lasting and unchangeable. The body of knowledge that has endured through times and space should be the basis for the education of the learner. The basic principle of perennialism in education are both timeless and recurring. This basically follows Aristotle's 384 to 322 BC view of rational nature of men. Thus, the essence of education is a cultivation of rationality, the most distinctive characteristic of men. The purpose of the education is to help students discover and internalize universal and constant or timeless truth. This includes the time-tested subjects which are history, language, mathematics, logic, literature, humanities, and science, in which all these cultivates man's rationality. Its ethical subject includes morals, aesthetics, and religious principles. All these cultivate ethical behavior. The instructional method used is reading and discussion of great books. These books contain universal and constant themes. These are the world classic books that have been tested through time and space, which focuses on teaching of great words. The goal of a perennialist educator is to teach students to think rationally and develop minds that can think critically, which means this promotes the study of great works, works of literature written by history's finest thinkers that transcend time and never become outdated. Perennialists are primarily concerned with the importance of mastery of the content and development of reasoning skills. Next is essentialism. This educational theory emphasizes the essentials, which are the basics of learning. These are reading, writing, and arithmetic in the elementary years. It also emphasizes an expansion and continuation of the basics, including the humanities in the secondary level. Its education also includes learning of the basic skills, which are arts and sciences that sustain civilization. Certain basic ideas and skills or disciplines to one's culture should be taught to all through time-tested methods. The purpose of education is to transmit the cultural and historical heritage to the new generation of learners. The curriculum emphasizes the 3R, which are reading, writing, and arithmetic in the elementary level. It emphasizes science, mathematics, history, English, foreign languages, as well as literature in the secondary level. Cultural values and the history of the given people are also emphasized. The method used emphasizes the mastery of essential facts and concepts. It uses regular assignments, homeworks, recitations, and frequent testing and evaluation. The teacher is a specialist in his subject matter and is skilled in organizing it into instructional materials. This shows that the teachers impart knowledge mainly through conducting lectures, during which students are expected to take notes. The students are provided with practice, worksheets, or hands-on projects, followed by an assessment of the learning material covered during this process. When their assessment shows sufficient competence, they are promoted to the next level to learn the next level of more difficult material. William C. Begley was one of the most influential advocates of essentialism. The school is the place of the conservation and transmission of cultural heritage, especially as found in history and literature to the present generation. This has been Marilyn Pardillo reporting Precisa News.
To continue with, we have progressivism. Progressivists believe that education should focus on the whole child, rather than on the content or the teacher. This education philosophy stresses that students should test ideas by active experimentation. Learning is rooted in the questions of learners that arise through experiencing the world. The learner is a problem solver and thinker who makes meaning through his or her individual experience in the physical and cultural context. Effective teachers provide experiences so that students can learn by doing. The students interact with one another and develop social qualities such as cooperation and tolerance. According to John Dewey, the students would have to exercise their brain by problem solving and thinking critically, resulting in learning. This allows the individual's brain to develop, so as the individual grows, learning becomes easier. Number 4, Reconstructionism or critical theory. Social reconstructionism is a philosophy that emphasizes the addressing of social questions and a quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. Reconstructionist educators focus on a curriculum that highlights social reform as the aim of education. The Reconstructionist classroom contains a teacher who involves the students in discussions of moral dilemmas to understand the implication of one's actions. Students individually select their objectives and social priorities and then, with guidance from the teacher, create a plan of action to make the change happen. The educational aims of Reconstructionism is that people act as change agents. They do not think that socials should be separate from society and educators should be more involved in the social cause. The role of the student in the reconstructionist learning environment is to be an active participant. Students are encouraged to think critically about the world in which they live in and how it can be changed for the better. Reconstructionism encourages social activism among its students. This is Julita Codilan reporting. Besides the news.
Looking forward for more information? Sit back and relax. The best is yet to come.
I agree, sir.
We have invited a philosopher from Michigan University to stress out thoughts that is applicable to real-life situations. Help me welcome Ma'am Crisadel Largo Alvarez.
To stress thoughts in real-life situation, let's have the 12 guiding principles of famous philosophers. You just have to give your creativity and career boost with the inspiring perspective of these influential thinkers. First, we have Confucius. He said that it does not matter how slowly you go as long as you don't stop. Meaning, success is a work in progress. Keep moving towards your dream, no matter how long it takes. Let him that would move the world first move himself, by Socrates. This means that nothing will change unless you will make change yourself. By Plato, it says, good actions give strength to ourselves and inspire good actions in others. Be kind and be charitable to others, and you'll inspire strength within your own endeavors. Aristotle said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then isn't an act, but a habit. Meaning, don't give up, but continue to work hard and strive for greatness until you exceed. Dante once said, from a little spark, a burst of flame. Pursue your creative passion, no matter how trivial they feel. They might spark success. We know the truth, not only by the reason, but also by the heart, by Blaise Pascal. Sometimes you have to get logic. Go and follow your heart to realize your creative potential. John Locke, the only fence against the world is a thorough knowledge of it. Strive to be better, continue to educate yourself, and try new approaches to achieving your goals. Let us read and let us dance. These two amusements will never do any harm to the world. Don't take yourself too seriously. Enjoy some of the more fun aspects of life to avoid burnout by Voltaire. Immanuel Kant once said, it is beyond a doubt that all our knowledge begins with experience. Meaning, if you're a painter, keep painting. If you're a singer, practice singing. Better your talent through experience and practice. Mary Wollstonecraft. The beginning is always today. There is never a better time than today to start working towards your goals, even if they feel lofty. Ayn Rand once said, a creative man is motivated by the desire to achieve, not by the desire to beat others. Stop comparing yourselves to others and work hard to achieve your own definition of success. Simone de Beauvoir once said, one is not born a genius, one becomes a genius. Meaning, put in the time, effort, and commitment to get to your desired level of achievement. This has been President Largo Alvarez reporting live via satellite besides the news.
There you have it, our dear viewers. It's now time to hear your side.
I think I'm gonna start with me, right?
Yes, ma'am?
Okay, for me, I would agree with Socrates wherein he said, let him that move the world first move himself. So I believe that one must change himself so as the world will change as well. Right?
Yeah, as for me, I agree with you, ma'am. And of course, I agree with Confucius. Says that it does not matter how slowly you go, so long as you do not stop. It says, for me, it's each step matters to achieve success, even in a slow process, as long as you did not stop to make it happen.
And I think that's the latest news, right?
Yes?
We're gonna end till now.
Yes. This is Rizzy Selim.
And I'm Teresa Leanda. Thank you for watching
and listening.
For your questions, comments, and suggestions, please click the link at the bottom.
Yeah.
Again, thank you
And get
God.